Hey, welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to play and review a few news clips in regards to missing mom Maya Millete and her husband Larry. It seems that Larry has a little bit of violence in his past. Now, before we get started, I want you to make sure that you're subscribed to my channel. Choose the all option when you're ringing my bell, and please hit the thumbs up so that YouTube will know that this video needs to be shared to spread more awareness about May Millete. Okay, let's go ahead and watch this first clip from CBS8.com on April 28th, 2021. Roll the clip.
For this True Crime Files report, David Goffredson spoke to insiders who told News 8 the missing woman's husband was involved in a gang-related stabbing incident as a teenager.
The defendant walked up to you and grabbed your arm?
Yes.
This 41-year-old man appeared in Chula Vista court this week on attempted kidnapping charges. The judge ordered us to blur his face. News 8 is following the case not because of his current charges, but because of what happened to him 24 years ago. In 1997, at the age of 17, he was the victim of a gang-related stabbing. And multiple sources tell News 8 the teenager who stabbed him was Larry Millete, the husband of the now missing mother, Maya Millete.
I have reason to believe that he was in a gang.
Attorney Billy Little is working with Maya's family to investigate the case.
It's my understanding this was a gang-related incident, that there were multiple other people around. He was taken into custody as a juvenile.
The stabbing happened on the evening of April 30th, 1997, near this McDonald's restaurant on Paradise Valley Road in the Bay Terraces neighborhood of San Diego. The teenage victim rushed to the hospital with multiple stab wounds, survived the attack. Larry Millete, age 15 at the time of the stabbing, was arrested and booked into juvenile hall on a charge of assault with a deadly weapon.
It was a long time ago, and what you're looking for is, who is this person? Who has he grown to be? Has he learned from his past criminal conduct?
Juvenile court records in the case are sealed, but after his release from juvenile hall, family members say Larry Millete ended up moving to Hawaii with his parents. That's where he met his future wife, Maya, in high school. They married as teenagers, and Larry Millete joined the Navy. Aside from a couple traffic tickets in Riverside County, Larry Millete apparently had no more run-ins with the law. His wife went missing this year on Thursday, January 7th. Loud bangs that sound like gunshots were recorded around 10 p.m. by a surveillance camera in the neighborhood on the night Maya went missing. The next day, Larry Millete was nowhere to be found for 12 hours, telling family members he went to the beach with his 4-year-old son in the family's black Lexus SUV with a personalized plate, Melani.
He took off without a phone. In other words, no way to track him.
By Sunday, January 10th, Maya's family had shown up at the Chula Vista house. Brother-in-law Richard Droulet snapped this photo of Larry standing in the living room.
There was the strong smell of bleach in the garage. There were bath mats hanging over, the trash cans drying out. Larry, as you've seen the picture, seems to be leaning back, confident and calm in his navy sweatpants.
But it would be 2 weeks before Chula Vista police served a search warrant on the house. On January 23rd, they took evidence and impounded the Lexus SUV. Police now say they have served 16 search warrants in the case, including one on April 1st at the Encanto home of Larry's aunt and uncle. News 8 reached out repeatedly to Larry Millete for comment, but he did not respond to our messages. He has denied any involvement in his wife's disappearance, and Chula Vista police has not named him a suspect in the case.
Okay, so let's break this clip down. This 41-year-old man is currently incarcerated for attempted kidnapping charges, not at all related to May's case, but he is related to Larry Millete's past. 24 years ago, in 1997, this man had a horrible encounter with Larry. It seems Larry, who was only 15 years old on April 30th, 1997, was with a group of gang members when he stabbed this man, who was only 17 at the time. They were all at a McDonald's in San Diego when Larry Millete stabbed this man multiple times. Larry was taken to a juvenile facility and charged with assault with a deadly weapon. I'm curious why the charge wasn't attempted murder with a deadly weapon. Maybe the multiple stab wounds determined that, I'm not sure. But regardless, Larry attacked another person with a knife, a deadly weapon. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Larry was a part of the gang? Do you think that Larry is still a part of a gang? Or do you think that Larry instantly changed completely the day he was arrested? From what I know about gangs, which isn't much, I know that it's not easy to join or leave a gang. From what I do know, to enter and exit a gang, you have to do something violent. Either get, quote, beat in, which means that many of the current gang members beat you until you're very close to death. Or you have to do a random act of violence to someone else, like fighting, shooting, or stabbing someone. So knowing this information, does this help Larry look innocent in playing a role in his wife's disappearance? Or does this make Larry look even more guilty? I'm very curious what you think about all of this. This was 24 years ago, and people can change. But if you're pushed hard enough, could old ways come out? If pushed, like for example, you want your spouse to stay with you and love you. You try everything you can think of for over a year. You try talking to your spouse. You try reaching out to your spouse's family for them to speak with your spouse. You try to make your spouse live by the word of the Bible. You even read scriptures to your spouse at home and on long car rides where your spouse can't move away so that your spouse has to hear you. You share the scriptures with your spouse's family so that they'll say the same things to your spouse that you're saying. You want your spouse to love you so much that you set up an altar, a blood altar, with a picture of you and your spouse, and you perform rituals that involve blood. You think that maybe your spouse might be sneaking around with someone behind your back and cheating on you. You feel so strongly that your spouse is cheating on you with a coworker that you contact your spouse's supervisor at work and demand that your spouse's coworker be moved to a different location away from your spouse. You track your spouse in all ways possible. You watch their spending with credit cards and debit cards, and you make them explain and clarify any spending that you feel that might be higher than it should be. You love your spouse so much, you don't understand why your spouse won't do what you say. You make sure that your spouse is going where they tell you that they're going by tracking their GPS on their vehicle. So when your spouse tells you that they retained a lawyer to file for divorce, which your spouse had to borrow money from their family to pay for said lawyer because you've locked them out of the home safe, all the bank accounts, and you have total control of all the money that comes into the household, even though your spouse is the main breadwinner. When you hear that your spouse has started this process of divorce to leave you for good, could this push you back into your old ways? You've literally tried everything that you can think of to control your spouse. But now you hear that they're leaving you for good. Divorce. Permanent. Could this make someone who would go to these extremes to attempt to control their spouse snap? Could this make this person snap and freak out and murder their spouse? What do you think? Tell me in the comments below. Okay, let's go ahead and watch this second clip, also from CBS8.com.
We're out in Hamul today. They're looking for a missing mother of 3 from Chula Vista.
News 8's David Goffredson has more on the ongoing search for Maya Millete.
6 vehicles showed up Friday morning at the abandoned Barrett House Ranch at the intersection of Highway 94 and Proctor Valley Road in Hamul. A small team of volunteers was inside the ranch house and also on horseback searching for Maya Millete, a Chula Vista mother of 3 who has been missing for almost 4 months. The 160-acre ranch is private property with a 2-story Victorian farmhouse built in 1891. For weeks, volunteer search teams have been looking for the missing mother along the Proctor Valley Road corridor, from Chula Vista to Hamul. Friday's effort involved a smaller group of volunteers, not part of the larger Maya Millete Search Warriors effort. Millete went missing on Thursday, January 7th, from her home on Paseo Los Gatos in Chula Vista. The 39-year-old had made an appointment with a divorce attorney and reportedly argued with her husband, Larry Millete, that same day. Loud bangs were recorded in the neighborhood that night. Sources told News 8 Larry Millete has a juvenile criminal history. He was arrested in 1997 at the age of 15 for stabbing another teenager in the Bay Terraces neighborhood of San Diego. The victim survived, but Millete was booked into juvenile hall on charges of assault with a deadly weapon.
I have reason to believe that he was in a gang.
Attorney Billy Little is working with Maya's family to investigate the case.
It's my understanding this was a gang-related incident, that there were multiple other people around. He was taken into custody as a juvenile.
The search for Maya Millete continues this weekend. Search volunteers are meeting Sunday at 9 a.m. at the Bonita Golf Course off Sweetwater Road. And tomorrow is Maya Millete's 40th birthday. A celebration is planned for 1 p.m. at Fiesta Island. We reached out to Larry Millete for comment for this report. He did not get back to us. Chula Vista Police has not named him a suspect in the case. Steve?
David, you talked about all the searches that have been conducted so far. What other areas are left to search?
Well, I asked Maya's family about that, and they told me a lot of places in the desert have not been searched. And I asked them, well, what places in the desert has Larry and Maya visited in the past? And they kind of gave me a short list, including Akatia Wells, Fish Creek, and an area known as the Badlands.
All right, the search continues. David, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to take a risk here, and I'm going to tell you what I think happened on the day that May was last seen. I'm going to use the factual timeline that we know of and add what I think happened in the gaps. I will make sure that I state which parts are fact and which parts are my opinion. Okay, let's do this. On Thursday, January 7th, 2021, the last day that anyone saw or talked to May. During the day, we know that May contacted a divorce attorney and set up an appointment for Tuesday, January 12th. Later, around 5:30 p.m., May had a video call on Facebook with two of her friends. Then between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m., now, we know that May and Larry had a major fight because Larry told us that. But I assume May told Larry about making the appointment with the attorney. I assume Larry freaked out, making the fight huge. Now, we know for a fact their 3 kids were home. So I assume that May didn't want to fight in front of them. So she locked herself in her bedroom, as we know that she's done previously. For a fact. I assume that this moves us closer to 9 p.m. now. From what we heard on the Spirit Box session for May, a hammer was used to make that large hole that Billy Little Jr. told us that he saw in May's bedroom door. I'm assuming that Larry did that so that he could reach in and unlock the door to get to May. I assume May either threatened she was leaving the house or she told Larry to leave. This is when I assume that Larry decided neither of them would leave the house alive. I think that Larry grabbed one of his many guns to try to make sure that May didn't leave. I assume that May was so fed up with his crazy bullshit, and she stood her ground and said that she was leaving. Now remember, the Spirit Box session that I did for May, we heard, quote, "That guy lost it," end quote. Okay, the next fact that we know is at 9:57 p.m., 8 gunshots were heard on the neighbor's security camera audio coming from the Millete house. I believe that this is when Larry fired his gun at May. From the Spirit Box session, 5 of those 8 shots, 5 of those 8 bullets hit May. In her left leg, in her back, and even in her face. That's so hard to say. That's coming from the Spirit Box session. I believe one of May's daughters saw this or knew what was going on and knew that Larry had the gun out, because on the audio of the 8 shots, we hear that first shot and then I hear a female voice scream, "Mama," 3 times. You listen and let me know what you think. That gives me chills every time I hear it. This makes me believe that the kids playing outside around 10:30 p.m. that was in fact caught on the neighbor's security camera audio was actually May's kids. I believe that Larry sent the kids outside so that they didn't see what he was doing with May's body. I believe Larry was working quickly to clean all the blood before it dried. Now remember, during my spirit box session, we heard, quote, "He killed. What a mess," end quote. So I'm guessing that bedroom was a mess. Unless May took off when Larry entered the bedroom and she locked herself maybe in the master bathroom, where that mess would be easier to clean up, in my opinion. Now, with the kids outside, now Larry can move freely around the house to gather cleaning supplies and decide what he was going to do with May's body until he could move her out of the house. I'd assume with her being barely 100 pounds, that Larry could move her by himself. I believe that he moved her into the bathtub while she was still bleeding. And then I believe that he scrubbed the best that he could. This is so hard for me to get through. I'm sorry if I stumble on my words. This is a mental picture that I was given that I'm telling you guys right now. And it's not a pretty one. And I'm trying to share it the best that I can without being too graphic, like the vision was that I got. Now, I'm guessing that it's getting kind of late, maybe around 11 p.m. or midnight or so. So I think that Larry probably got the kids to bed and then went back to cleaning up the mess that he made. I believe sometime between 11 p.m. and 2:30 a.m., Larry called his Uncle Ricky and Aunt Kathy because he needed help. This is about the time when a white vehicle was seen on multiple security cameras around May and Larry's house. This white vehicle was seen driving quickly down the road towards the road that May and Larry live on. I believe the vehicle was also seen parked in front of 2413 Paso Las Gatos. I'm butchering that. I'm sorry. That's the name of their road. It's May and Larry's address. In the early morning hours of Friday, January 8th, 2021. I assume Uncle Ricky and or Aunt Kathy helped Larry clean the house and prepare May's body to move her out of the house. The next factual event that we're aware of is around 6 a.m., just 3 or so hours after we believe that Ricky and Kathy arrived at the house. Larry said that he took his 4-year-old son to Solana Beach. And I believe that they said they were gone for 12 hours from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Friday, January 8th. Now, when Larry left the house, he left his 2 daughters at home to, quote, take his son to the beach. So let's break down this 12-hour time frame from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Okay, 6 a.m. Fact. Larry leaves home with his 4-year-old son, who wouldn't do well as a witness due to his age, in my opinion, and they leave in May's car. Fact. Now, for the past year, Larry has been able to know exactly where May was when she wasn't with him due to the GPS tracker on her car. But today, while Larry's using May's car, mysteriously, the GPS isn't tracking. Oh, and Larry was in such a hurry to get to the beach that he forgot his cell phone at home. So no location tracker there either. So we can just assume the events of this 12-hour trip to the beach. I believe, in my own opinion, Larry might have stopped by the beach for a short time so that his son could honestly say that Daddy did take him to the beach. But the other 11 hours, in my opinion, were not spent at the Solana Beach. And the Solana Beach is only a 36-minute drive from May and Larry's house. I believe that he got his 4-year-old son up out of bed, put him in the car while he was still asleep. I believe that he put May's body in the back of her own vehicle, wrapped in her own bed comforter blanket, allegedly, in my opinion. Now, the spirit box session that we did for May said trunk. Oh, and I meant to say, after Ricky and or Kathy allegedly arrived at May and Larry's around 2:30 or 3 a.m., I'm wondering if May's body was moved from the bathtub into the deep freezer to keep her body cold. Just a thought. Okay, back to 6 a.m. on Friday, January 8th, 2021. Okay, so Larry would allegedly need to drive to a place where he could be alone for hours to dig a big enough hole to place May's body in it and return the dirt, allegedly. The hole would need to be deep enough to keep animals from digging. Assuming Larry is allegedly digging this hole alone, I'd guess to May it would take approximately 4 to 6 hours to dig, bury, and replace the dirt. Now, I'm not sure what led the searchers to Hamul, but it makes me curious. Okay, the news reporter said that 3 places that May's family told them that May and Larry attended often were the Okataya Wells. I'm probably saying that all wrong. Fish Creek and the Badlands. Now, on the Spirit Box session that we just did on May 1st, on May's 40th birthday, we kept hearing the word creek. So I'm hoping that the searchers will check out Fish Creek. Here's my opinion on the alleged timeline of Friday, January 8th, 2021. Okay, 6 a.m. Larry and his 4-year-old son leave the house. So I believe that the drive time would be from 6 a.m. to approximately 8 or 9 a.m. Then from approximately 8 or 9 a.m., that's when Larry would be digging, burying, and replacing the dirt. That would lead us to around noon or maybe 1 or 2 p.m. at the latest. Okay, so then 2 p.m. at the latest, we'll say, that's when he heads to the beach. Now, we don't know exactly how far, but we know that we need approximately 2 hours of drive time. So 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. they drive to the beach. 3 to 4, maybe 3 to 5, they hang out at the beach. And then they finish that 2-hour drive home, which would be from 5 to 6. And then they arrive home at 6 p.m. Based on this alleged timeline, Larry could have driven 1 to 2 hours away from his home to bury May's body, allegedly. I do believe that May is buried off of a trail somewhere due to the spirit box saying, quote, Black Forest. When I look at some of the trails on Google Maps, the tree areas or the forest area, it looks so dark, almost black. That was the first thing that I noticed when I looked at May and Larry's address. You can see how dark this area looks right here by their home. This is where all the trails are. Okay, so we're at 6 p.m. on Friday, January 8th. I'm sorry if this feels like this is taking forever, but I want to run through everything and I want to make sure that I'm sharing all the details and that I'm clear on this is my opinion and my assumption of this time frame. Okay, so Larry and his son arrived back home at 6 p.m. During the day, May's family had been calling May, Larry, and if I understood Maricris, they tried calling both of May's daughters also, but everybody's phones were off, according to Maricris. So May's brother, JR, decided to stop by the house in the evening of Friday, January 8th. He was told by Larry that his sister was upstairs and that they had a huge fight the night before, meaning Thursday, January 7th. So JR went upstairs and knocked on May's bedroom door, but there was no answer, no noises, no nothing. So he assumed that May was asleep. I'm not 100% sure on the actual time that JR was at the house, but one of May's daughters told her uncle that the last time she saw her mom was on Thursday night. So it's late in the evening, Friday, and JR leaves. Okay, I want you to remember too, May's daughter is saying that the last time that she saw her mom was Thursday night. Larry was gone for 12 hours on Friday, and the two girls were at home. So if May was truly at home, don't you think that her daughters would have seen her for in that 12-hour time span? Okay, let's move to Saturday morning, January 9th, 2021. We're almost done. May was not active on her social media and no replies to any messages and still 0 phone calls. May's parents were really worried by this point, so around 11 a.m. or noon, they showed up at May's house. Larry stated that the bedroom door was shut and locked, but he did hear May Friday night, the night before, in the kitchen fixing herself dinner while he was spending time with the children. Now, I have no idea what May's father said to Larry, but now Larry finds the key to unlock May's bedroom door. So they open the door and shocker, the bedroom's empty. Larry decided to tell May's parents that maybe May went for an early morning hike, or maybe even a friend picked her up to go wine tasting at 11 a.m. on Saturday, like she's an alcoholic or something, because both of her vehicles were still at the house. May has her Jeep Wrangler, and then she has her Lexus SUV that she drives daily. The Jeep was more of a fun toy to May since she enjoyed going Jeeping. So her parents, I believe that they ended up leaving, and Larry has more time to clean up, any last details, mess that he made in a deeper way. Later Saturday night, May's family begins gathering at May's. Her sister Maricris, the eldest of the 6 siblings, arrived after she got off work, and she wanted to call the police immediately. But Larry said no, not yet. He gave a few excuses why Maricris shouldn't call and report her sister missing yet. He wanted to wait until closer to 3 or 4 a.m. and said something about waiting 48 hours. Okay, so 48 hours at 3 or 4 a.m. Sunday morning would mean that he's putting May last seen Thursday night, Friday morning between 3 to 4 a.m. So confusing. Okay, so at 11:18 p.m. on Saturday, January 9th, Maricris called to report her sister missing. The police arrived around 1 a.m. on Sunday, January 10th, and it was 1 a.m. And they completed the missing person report. The police did not serve a search warrant on the Millete home until January 23rd, more than 2 weeks after May was last seen. Larry had 16 days to do whatever he wanted to do in that house. 16 days to remove things out of the house, evidence. 16 days to destroy and remove anything, evidence. The police had served a total of 16 search warrants from January 23rd to April 22nd, including May's house, May's black Lexus SUV with the plate that says Maylani, and Larry's Uncle Ricky Lincoln's house and Aunt Kathy, his wife, on April 1st, 2021. On Sunday, January 10th, I don't know about any timeline. The only thing that I do know is that one of May's brothers was at May's house because he noticed the air in May's tires of her Lexus were low, and that raised red flags for the family. Also, while the family was inside the garage of the house, they noticed a strong smell of bleach. They saw bath mats hanging over the trash cans drying out, and Larry was wearing a sweatshirt and his navy sweatpants, which raises red flags for me, and I'll explain why in just a second. Okay, so let's skip to Monday, January 11th, 2021. Billy Little Jr., the attorney that May's family hired to help with May's disappearance, went to May and Larry's house. He was very observant while he was in the home. He noticed all of the windows were open and Larry had multiple fans turned on. Now, Larry stated that the air wasn't working right, so that's the reason for all these fans on and all the windows open. So why was he dressed like it was 40 degrees the night before? Billy also saw a freshly repaired huge hole in the master bedroom door, May's bedroom door. Billy stated that the repair material was still wet, but Larry told him when he asked about it that May had made that hole when she was mad a while back. It was right beside the bedroom door handle, where Billy said that if it wasn't repaired, he could have reached through to open the door from the inside, from standing out in the hallway. I am so curious what you think about my assumptions. I want you to tell me what you think about everything that I said. Think about my timeline. Does it make sense to you? Do you think something different? Let's ponder more in the comment section. Okay, parts of Billy's interview with CBS 8 have been used in different news clips, and I've shared parts of those. But I have the entire interview to play for you now. Billy shares a lot more than the news showed in the clips. Okay, so I'm going to play this for you, and then after this is over, the video will be over. So if you don't want to watch the entire interview, you don't have to. You can stop the video here. But I highly suggest to watch the entire interview because there is so much information that he shares that we have not heard yet. So if you stop here, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. Make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you ring a ding my bell, hit the all option, and hit the thumbs up so that YouTube will share this video out more. I thank you so very much. If you're going to stay to watch the interview, after you finish watching the interview, tell me what you learned from that interview, because I learned so much. That's how I came up with my assumption timeline for this video. I used a lot of the information that I learned in the full interview with Billy Little Jr. All right, let's roll that.
My name is Billy Little. My position in the family has asked me to assist. I'm an attorney and an investigator. The family has asked me to help locate the daughter, missing Maya Millete. The family asked me, the family approached me when Maya went missing and nobody had heard from her. She went missing on the 7th. The family contacted me, I believe, on the 9th, after she had been gone a day and a half or so, asked me if I could assist in finding May, or Maya. I'll just call her May.
Can you tell me how you ended up doing a walkthrough of the house? When did you do it, and why did you do it?
So it was the 11th of January of 2021. I went over there. I'm not sure if Larry, the husband, was going to open the door, was going to talk to me. I just went up, knocked on the door, told him who I was. They invited me in the house. I went in the house. I immediately noticed the windows all open, the fans on full blast. It was chilly in the house. I told him I was there looking for May, and he invited me in, and I had a discussion with him. We walked through the house, went up to the bedroom where she had been locking herself in for the past several days to ostensibly get away from Larry. When I went to the bedroom, I immediately noticed a hole probably 10 inches long by about 6 to 8 inches tall, rectangular shape that had been freshly repaired. It was right by the handle. There was a lock on the inside of the door. I touched the repair material and noticed that it was still damp. I said, "Hey, Larry, this is still wet. It looks like you freshly repaired this door." And he said, "Oh, no, that was a hole that May had punched in the door." So, and I knew that that was untrue from other stories that I'd gotten about how the holes in the house had come to be.
The hole was on the outside of the door, right?
Well, it went through the door, went through both sides of the door. So in other words, and this is just, let's say the door is locked, you wanted to break in the door, or get to the door, you could punch through that hole, reach through the other side and unlock the door from the other side. The location of it was maybe 3.5 feet, the height of the doorknob. So it's not the position that a person, if you're just angry and punching a wall, it's not the position that the hole would be in. Now, I did see another hole in the bedroom wall that was consistent with maybe a shoulder level punching hole.
Was that one still wet as well?
That one was not wet. That one had dried, but it appeared to be the same repair material, some type of putty or stucco material.
When you walked in the house and all the windows were open and the fan was on, or fans, I'm not sure if there was more than one, did you ask Larry about it?
No, I knew that that was going to be the case because of the people that I talked to before I went to the house. They told me that the house had been open with all the windows on and that Larry had told them that the air conditioner was broken and that's why he was doing it.
Okay.
I didn't ask him when I went in there. I already expected that to be the condition of the house. I was mostly at that point seeing if I could smell anything, if I could smell any bleach or smell the smell of a dead body. And of course, there's absolutely no smell. I mean, the air movement was such that you couldn't smell anything in that house.
How did you know that there was a freezer missing when you did that walkthrough?
Again, I've been informed by other witnesses that I spoke to that there was an allegation that there was a freezer that had been taken out of the garage. And that turned out to be true. I confirmed that both at the house and when I found the freezer from the person who had taken the freezer.
Okay, so you went in, one of your goals was to look for the freezer. Tell me how that went.
Well, my real goal in going in the house, my primary goal was to start to establish a relationship with Larry so that I would have an open line of communication with him so that I could go back to back, and this would not be a one-time shot. I had some other information that I knew about the house and about Larry that I tested while I was in there having a conversation with him. One piece of information that I knew going in was that he had asked someone to borrow gun cleaning equipment to clean his guns on that weekend. So that seemed odd to me. When your wife is missing, you want to start cleaning your guns. So I tested that with Larry. He confirmed that with me, that he had in fact asked somebody to borrow gun cleaning equipment. I then discussed with him about gunshot residue on his hands. He said, oh yeah, I've been out shooting the last few days. So I wanted to test that. Wanted to see about the freezer. So as I do a walkthrough, I just wanted to look for things that I knew or expected to be. I looked in the room quite extensively, looking to see if I could see anything that had been obviously cleaned up or repaired, like the holes in the walls. But it was mostly conversational with Larry. Again, establishing a relationship with the belief that I would have another opportunity to talk to him, which I did not.
Why did you not?
The Chula Vista Police Department asked me not to talk to him anymore. So I didn't want to interfere with their investigation. So I didn't. At that point, I assumed that they were moving forward aggressively with this case. And again, it's not my goal to interfere with somebody's investigation. So if they have a plan, they didn't share their plan with me. If they had an interrogation plan or an investigation plan, they didn't share any of that information with me. I just deferred to their judgment at that point.
Can you tell me, okay, where did you go to look for the freezer? Where was it supposed to be, and what did you discover when you were in the house?
So the garage had been cleaned. Again, didn't notice a smell of bleach, but the garage had clearly been cleaned. Things I hadn't seen the garage before, but it was pretty spotless in there. And the freezer that the people told me should have been there was not there, and the people that told me that the freezer had been missing, the freezer wasn't there. So at that point, there's no reason to talk to Larry about it. He's just going to, I assume he's going to lie to me like he did on some other things. So I just tracked down the freezer myself. I left, when I found the location of the freezer, actually before I found the location of the freezer, I called Chula Vista Police and I said, hey, there's a freezer missing from the garage. They said, okay, thanks. At that point, they were still accepting information from me. Then there was no action, so I found the freezer myself. I went over and found it from one of Larry's relatives, went to his house, interviewed him, inspected the freezer, and have a photo of the freezer, which I provided to you.
What's his side of the story on how he got the freezer?
He said that he had been planning on taking that freezer for a long time. So that was just coincidence that it happened within 24 hours or 30 hours of her going missing inside the same garage.
What day is your understanding that he took the freezer out of the garage?
The Saturday, the 9th of January.
Do you know when?
I don't.
Okay,
I think he said it was in the morning, but I don't.
All right. Okay. Very good. Through your investigation of this case, tell me about you've received text messages from Maya and also from Larry. Tell me about how you obtain these text messages generally.
It's when I'm interviewing witnesses. They will tell me about something. I'll say, "Do you still have the text message?" If they have it, I'll ask them to either forward it to me or take a picture of it on their phone. In fact, when I was in the house, Larry had his phone out and mentioned a text message and let me take a picture of his text messages. So that's just what I do. People are generally accommodating. And so multiple witnesses in this case either showed me their text messages, let me take pictures, forwarded me the text messages. There were some Facebook chats that they would screenshot and send to me. So I have a large number of text and Facebook messages and emails that I've collected.
Okay, so through the course of your investigation and obtaining these text messages, you have come to understand that Larry was concerned about May having affairs, right?
Yes.
How can you characterize his text messages and his concerns, and what actions did he take regarding these alleged affairs?
So the best I can tell, that it started in January of 2020. The text messages that he sent numbered sometimes in the hundreds per day. And it was, obsession would be the right word for it. He started by complaining to family members. He started by accusing his wife of having an affair, going to her supervisor, insisting that male coworkers be moved with absolutely no evidence that there was an affair going on. I have interviewed all the people involved in that particular instance. And so that was the first time his obsession continued. Then it went from that individual to another individual that was a coworker. It started ramping up as 2020 went on, and as May started moving more and more towards a divorce, he became more and more desperate. The religion was used with family members, with May, all through the beginning of 2020, all the way probably up until September, when it was not working with May. He tried to force her to read the Bible. He tried to read the Bible to her over long trips, and it would just annoy her. He would quote scripture. I think I've sent you some of those. And so that didn't appear to be working as a way to control May, to get her to stay in the marriage. It didn't appear to be working to use religion to have her family force her. He also tried to have the pastor force her to stay in the marriage. And then I sent you the picture of the blood altar that he created with the picture of May's face and his face and the candles around it and blood sprinkled on it. And at this point, May is talking to her friends and family members and people and saying that she's definitely going to get a divorce now. And this is at the end of 2020, just prior to her going missing. She has to go to family to ask to borrow money to retain an attorney because Larry has locked her out of the bank accounts. He's changed the safe combination in the house. Even though she's the primary breadwinner, she doesn't have control over the money in the relationship. He does. So she goes to family members to borrow money to hire an attorney so that she can get out of that marriage. We do tend to get sucked into this black hole that Larry wants us to get sucked into, which is discussing whether or not she was having affairs, right? And I haven't been able to confirm that. I can tell that there's a lot of irrational thought coming from him, and he's made at least one false allegation of that. But this is the discussion that Larry wants us to have about whether May is a bad person or not. It's a giant red herring that he's been sending the family on for the past year. He was ultimately unable to control her. The day she went to the divorce lawyer to set up the appointment is the day she went missing.
You spoke with the divorce attorney. Tell me what her plans were and the timeline of that, how it coincides with her going missing.
So she filled out the intake form on the Thursday that she went missing. The appointment was scheduled for the next Tuesday. I got involved probably on the 9th of January. And so I contacted the divorce attorney. I'm guessing it was on a Monday. I don't have a log of that. So her appointment was for Tuesday. And at that point, I already suspected, that she would not show up, but I confirmed that when she did miss her appointment on Tuesday. I confirmed that she did not show up or call. So she set up the appointment with the divorce attorney on Thursday, during the day on Thursday. She then had a three-way call, Facebook call with her friends that evening, probably around 5:30. And that is the last that anybody heard from her. So Thursday evening, sometime after 5:30 is when something terrible must have happened. This is a circumstantial case because we don't have a body yet. We may never have a body, but prosecuting murderers shouldn't depend on how well they can dispose of bodies. And there are a lot of cases that go to trial without a body. And this one, the circumstantial evidence is so strong, but you need all of it. So, for example, you need to know that on December 25th, he had a conversation with a witness saying that he wanted to kill May, but he had to plan it well. That on that same date, he also expressed a desire to kill the purported boyfriend. And then fast forward a week, on January 4th, he has another conversation with a person who says, hey, would you help me hire somebody to kill May's boyfriend for $20,000? And then 3 or 4 days later, she goes missing after that. After she decides, okay, I've had enough, I'm filing for divorce, boom, now she's gone. Then you have to put that into context with the things that come after that, which is him stalling the family to report her missing, knowing, in his own words, that the first 48 hours are the most important, is the most important time period. So knowing that, he stalls the police until after 48 hours. And then combine that with, he says that he goes to the beach for 12 hours or so on Friday, leaves his phone at home, doesn't bring the kids' phones, and doesn't have a phone, any sort of tracking device. And then he's gone for 12 hours after she goes missing. But every weekend after she went missing, there was a search party, and he participated in none of those. So according to him, he didn't have time because he had the kids. So he's got time to go to the beach when she goes missing, allegedly goes to the beach, but he doesn't have time to go look for his wife who's missing. And so it's a story, and it's a circumstantial case, and I think that it's hard to put it into context without knowing all of the information.
Hey, thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. Please make sure that you're subscribed to my channel and ring my bell if you enjoy this type of content. Leave a comment below with any questions or suggestions that you have. I do read all comments. I need your help to fit the puzzle pieces together that we learned in this video. No bad vibes here, please. No drama. My channel is a safe place for all of you. Leave your thoughts about this puzzle below in the comments so that we can figure this out together. We discuss true crime and paranormal here. I'm bringing true crime stories and missing person cases to the spirits. I'm getting the spirits to help us find answers and hopefully solve questions we all have. So again, make sure that you're subscribed and ring my bell so that you don't miss my next video. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this video or the thumbs down if you didn't. Share this video out on all of your social media so that we can spread the word about this case. And don't forget to read the description box. There's a lot of great info, including the link to the Spirit Seeker Squad Facebook group and so much more. Again, thank you for watching. Have a great day.